Hey guys, Ron Musgraves here, Pressure Washing Institute, Contractors First. Man, I'm just going to talk about this. This is about insurance, and it's about insurance in the way that we use to sell a client, whether it be commercial or residential. Most commercial clients, are very aware of the needed rules and regulations and things about insurance. And I just want to tackle this one right away. And I'm going to upset a lot of guys out there. Workers' compensation exemption certificates, when the state says legally you can be on a property without the workers' compensation as long as you have the exemption certificate, and everything's a-okay with that. The real situation is that you're just dumping with an exemption. The owner of the property, whether it's residential or commercial, are just assuming the liability for accidents and injuries on their property, and whether that's going to come out of their homeowner's insurance or their own liability insurance for the commercial property. That's exactly what's going to happen. And there's nobody that in their right mind, if they understand this and know this, which almost 100% of commercial clients understand this, and that's why if you're in a situation where you're trying to use an exemption certificate in commercial and wondering why you're not getting the jobs, and they're lying to you and telling you you're too expensive, they're really not just telling you, hey, bonehead, you don't have the proper insurance. Because a lot of times it's very difficult to convey sometimes the real reasons why people don't want to use you. And it could be because you just don't have the proper insurance, and they just don't want to tell you that. So they tell you the easiest thing is, oh, you're too high. The homeowner, though, doesn't really know this because they're not educated. A lot of times they'll go home and talk to their significant other, or if they're making a decision themselves, they do a little research and say, oh, yeah, this exemption certificate, I accept this. It's okay. They can legally be on my property. They just don't understand that they're actually assuming any accidents or liabilities that happen on the property. It works the same way when they don't check to see that they've got general liability. They're accepting that that's going to potentially be on their homeowners or their insurance policy for commercial property. Commercial clients are not going to let you step foot on the property without these proper insurance certificates in place, and they're named in the insurance in case there's an accident. I think that how this translates into making a sale is that you have to do the proper education without trying to shove anything down a homeowner or a commercial client's throat. And you don't really got to sell this to commercial clients because it's expected. And if you try to show them an exemption certificate, they're just going to roll their eyes back and go, okay, another guy to bid my properties that I can't use. And that's the reality of that. And I know I'll have 100 guys on here. It's not true. I've gotten jobs. You may have gotten jobs, and they were just dumb people. And so how this translates to the sales thing is you need to educate, especially the residential guys, in a situation like this to say, hey, I have all the proper insurance, and by the way, here's what potentially happens if you hire somebody without trying to make it scare tactics, because you don't want to use scare tactics, but you want to educate them a little bit and saying, hey, we can have an exemption certificate for workers' compensation in this state, but here's the problem with that. The problem is as the owner of the property, the homeowner or the property owner, you then assume that liability. If there's any type of accidents, it's going to come out of your pocket or your insurance company's pocket. And I think that if you inform them in some proper way, like I said, without trying to make it a scare tactic, I think then they're going to do their due diligence, and they're going to make sure that people have the proper credentials as far as insurance before they step foot on their property. Now, what does that do for you? Well, if you're legitimate, and I know I use that word, guys, and say, "Well, I'm legitimate, and I can have the exemption certificate because my state says I can work with it." Well, yeah, your state says you can work with it, but we don't. You're making the homeowner or the property owner assume that liability, and when they know this, potentially they're not going to hire you even at a reduced rate. Now, we all know there are some clients out there, they don't care about those things. All they care about is getting the cheapest version of whatever they can get, and really those aren't my clients. So I would want to pass on those people anyways, and I'm not going to worry about those type of customers. The customers I'm trying to get are the repeat customers, the customers that understand this, the smart buyers, the customers that want to hire the proper contractor that's going to do the proper job. And I'm not going to be assuming any mistakes that they make, whether it's general liability or workers' comp, because it works on both sides of the fence. It's just that most consumers always just want to say, "Are you insured?" If you're insured, that's great. Oh, and you have you have the letter that says that you're exempt from workers' comp. Okay, that's great. Again, that's just them not understanding the liability that they're about ready to engage into. And we, as contractors that have the proper insurance, we need to educate the consumer, whether it's commercial or residential. We need to educate them a little bit better. And I'll tell you right now, I'm going to also put a link in there. There's some more things in there. It's called the Smart Buyer Program. It's a quick checklist of things that you might want to check. And you could also print this PDF out and give it to the consumer. It's a really great tool if you're competing at that type of level. And I know a lot of guys are going to print that out and go, "Wow, man, this is a lot of things. I don't have all these things." Hey, that's okay. Work towards those things. Work towards being more professional. Work towards bettering, especially if you're a guy that just started out. It is very difficult to have all of the things on a smart buyer program, because the bottom line is you just need some time. Time is also another thing that I always used as an advantage in my sales. If you have 20 years of experience, a lot of times that can give you more credibility and trust with the consumer. So that's just another thing. I mean, and that only comes with time. And don't lie. Don't lie if you don't have the time, because that's another thing that's dishonesty. And then if consumers or clients catch that, that's a really big red flag that says, "Hey, we can't trust this guy to tell the truth. How are we going to trust him on our property or on or even worse, at our home?" Where that's a very your home, man, is almost like a little sacred place, and you don't want guys on your property that you can't trust. You just don't want it. Nobody wants that. So I just thought that helped. That this little tip about having the proper credentials and how to use them and utilizing them with the consumer. And I'll put these links below, guys. So make sure you check it out. It's the Smart Buyer Program. I think you guys will like seeing that. Like I said, you can print that PDF out and you can give it to the homeowner, and that's a little less intrusive if you give them that little piece of paper saying, "Hey, here are the things and here's the questions you might want to ask contractors in any contracting situation that you're hiring, not just your exterior cleaners, but any contractor. Here's some basic things that these people should have." And I think that that's a great idea. And I'm going to make a smart buyer video too, so I'm going to cover those things so that people understand and know that these are things that you use as a sales tool, and they help you generate obviously more revenue, higher pricing, because you're giving people more value, because you are giving them more value when you use the Smart Buyer Program. Hey, Ron Musgraves, Pressure Washing Institute, Contractors First.